Podcasting, the final frontier. This is the Hammer Podcast. Its 30-minute mission: to rehash geeky topics, to seek out new bastions of nerdiness, to timidly go where the more talented have gone before.
Greetings and welcome to the Hammer Podcast, the official podcast of thehammerstrikes.com. I'm your host, Gene Hendricks, and we're dispensing with the listener feedback this time because I have something special planned. I have a very special guest with me, my wife, Michelle.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about something that both of us love, and that would be the Muppets. Now, as most of you know, the Muppets are coming back to television this fall, and we wanted to get together and just talk about our history with the Muppets, how we feel about the new show, etc. Now, I'm going to define some terms here, as I am wont to do. I consider Muppets to be anything on Sesame Street, The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth. Those are Muppets.
I agree.
The Muppets are Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, the ones from The Muppet Show or The Muppet Movie, etc. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So now, like me, I'm sure that your first experience with Muppets was Sesame Street.
Yes. Big Bird.
Big Bird, Oscar. Did that strike you as odd in any way when you were a kid? Didn't strike me as odd either.
They lived on Sesame Street.
Right.
They were Denzians.
Or denizens.
Really?
Yeah.
Denzians, right?
That is not right.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Mark me screwed up.
Now, I know when I was growing up, The Muppet Show was one of those things that we would watch whenever it was on.
Absolutely.
Same in your house?
Absolutely.
Now, of those, do you have like a favorite episode or
Julie Andrews one?
Julie Andrews? That was a good one because
the monsters.
Yeah, where she's whistling away her fear.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm biased. Mine was
Luke Skywalker.
Well, not Luke Skywalker. The
Mark
stars of Star Wars is
okay.
how Kermit introduces it. And it's Luke Skywalker and his cousin, Mark Hamill.
Right.
Who gargles Gershwin.
Right.
That was my first indication how
Hilarious.
screwed up
Hilarious.
Mark Hamill actually is.
Hilarious. I thought they told him to come up with something.
Well, I'm sure they had a story meeting or something, but the stuff with the Muppet Show is they would always ask the guest star, hey, what do you want to do? And one of the famous stories is with Peter Sellers. Mm-hmm. And he specifically asked, don't ask me to be myself.
Okay.
Because he's such a great guy for characters and everything. That's why when you see him in the opening shot, he's in his long underwear with a fake beard, a Viking helmet, and I believe he's reciting Richard III as Queen Victoria.
Oh, boy.
Because he was just that weird.
Oh, boy. I love with Luke Hogthrob.
Link Hogthrob.
Link, when he rolls him up into a little...
Always the masseuse, yeah.
A little ball.
Yeah, he's doing his Dr. Strangelove
Hilarious.
character.
I was rolling on the floor, and I didn't even know why it was funny. It was just funny.
Right. And that's one of the things the Muppets like Warner Brothers cartoons, is it works for kids and it works for adults, and it's for different reasons.
I was rolling on the floor laughing, and my parents are looking at each other like, they're like, do you know what that's about? I said, I don't care, it's just funny.
He's rolling up a pig!
Yeah, he's rolled a pig into a little ball.
Now, as I said before, the Muppets are coming back to TV. Now, this is not the first time that they've had a new show since the Muppet Show went on.
They've tried.
Now, Muppets Tonight, that is the previous show, and that was after Jim Henson's death.
Right.
And Brian Henson was in charge. Now, I watched those shows. Mm-hmm. I thought that they were all right.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have any strong feelings one way or the other?
I thought they stunk.
Okay.
Because I have lived, eaten, and breathed the Muppet movie.
True, yeah.
Because we had one of those old disc players, and we had the Muppet movie on a disc. Mm. So I watched that movie every time we had a major event in our life.
Oh, really?
I'd
Okay.
come home from college, stick it in, watch it, and laugh, and might be 4 in the morning. It didn't matter. I was watching the Muppet movie in my basement.
Well, that's one of the things about the Muppet movie. It is one of my favorite movies, but it can never be my top 10 favorite.
Right.
Because my definition of one of my top 10 favorite movies, I cannot fast forward through any part of it.
Right.
Which is, so the Miss Piggy, Never Before,
Right.
Never Again song, I can't stand it. So I have to
neither.
fast forward through it. And Superman the movie is the same way with the flying scene.
Right.
And once Lois starts reciting the poetry in her head, I have to fast forward. So that can never be one of my favorite movies. I am sorry, Chris Franklin. I know you are screaming at your iPod right now. Now, do you have a favorite Muppet?
I go back and forth between Fozzie and Kermit.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, between Frank Oz and Jim Henson.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
depending on your mood.
When I got older, I realized that was my decision that I had to make. And I like Kermit most of the time because he's just so mellow and he knows everybody's fault and he takes them all into account. But he's friends with them anyways.
Well, you see, I'll disagree with you here because my favorite Muppet is Rolf.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
Rolf is the very definition of mellow.
Right. Take myself for a walk and then
go to bed. Kermit is a slow burn.
Yes.
He will lose it at some point.
Yes.
Whereas Rolf just lets it roll off his back.
Yes. Bro. Who's back?
So, Kermit isn't mellow all the time.
No, he's not.
Fozzie, however, Fozzie is manic.
And I appreciate that because sometimes I just have to clean something.
Now, there's been a lot of controversy leading up to the new series about Kermit and Miss Piggy breaking up.
Please.
There have even been people, I don't know specifics or anything, but saying that it is a blow to feminism because Kermit has ditched the strong, independent woman for someone younger and dumber.
Is she younger and dumber?
Well, she's younger. I don't know about dumber. But my counter-argument to that...
You get dumber than Miss Piggy?
Well, Piggy is smart. She's not...
She's smart.
In...
Yes.
In her own way. In
yes.
advancing Piggy, she is smart. But my argument to people saying that they shouldn't break up, etc., is how long should you stay in an abusive relationship? Because that's what it is. Piggy abuses Kermit no end.
That's true.
Physically, mentally, and every time he tries to stand up for himself, hi-ya!
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm interested to see whether it's a publicity thing only or if they're actually going to go a little deeper. Because one of the things about the Muppets is they always have some type of deeper meaning going on.
Yes.
And it's not anything that I realized as a kid.
Right.
Like, most of their music parodies.
Yes.
Or, I hesitate to call them parodies, actually. The music segments on the Muppet Show.
Yes.
Like, the one that comes to my mind is probably my favorite one, which is the Viking pigs singing in the Navy.
See, I'm divided over the little fish and what was the other one? The one where they're dancing.
Which, well, that could be any, because that was a recurrent segment.
The one where they're dancing, and Kermit's dancing with the little girl, and says something to him. What? I wasn't really listening to you. I was off looking over there, and they move the camera, and it's Piggy.
Oh. No, well, what I mean is, like, with the pigs, they're singing in the Navy while they're raiding a village.
Right.
And then they basically impress the villagers to become part of their crew while singing, "We want you as a new recruit."
We want you, we want you, we want you. Yeah, okay.
And then another one was the song, I can't remember the title of it, but the Stop Children, What's That Sound?
Yeah.
And it's woodland creatures and they're singing about the hunters. And the hunters are portrayed as being completely moronic. Because they're just running through shooting. They're not aiming at anything. Right. So it's a little bit of, that's obviously how Jim Henson and the Muppet writers felt about hunters.
Right.
So, it's there's always a double meaning that you don't necessarily get as a kid. And, taking it literally as a kid, that song was, they hear the sound of the hunters and they're getting away.
Right.
Whereas now that I know what the song is actually about, that gives you that whole other depth to it that you need to sit and think about it.
Right. Another one I really liked that I just started thinking about was Scooter in his room with the 5-part harmony or whatever.
Yeah, what was it? The Quadraphonic Symphony 6-string Orchestra.
Something like that.
In other words, guitar.
And I always had to practice the piano. And I hated practicing the piano because I liked what it sounded like, after you would practice. After I'd practice a certain song. And I usually only played like about 5 songs regularly. Even though I had books and books of, if you practice this, you'll learn how to do this. And if you do this song, you'll learn how to do this.
Yeah, see, I'm a huge geek. So, you know this. Why am I telling you this? You, the listener, and you, the wife. But the one thing that particular song of Scooter's, I can never get past the fact that he's got a picture of a Star Destroyer on his wall that's upside down.
Yes. I know. You always focus in on that. You're like, but it's upside down! Why didn't they turn it around?
People that have never seen the movie.
Yes. So I related to him because I had to practice the piano. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it was a lot of work to get my grandfather to make me practice piano, and my mother made me practice the piano. And then I got sick, and it was kind of like, well, you don't have to.
You have other things to focus on.
Yeah, you have to, drink all this liquid and pee in this cup. And anyways, that's completely.
So now we know that Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, that whole group is going to be on the new Muppets show. Is there anything that you don't want them to do?
I could say the same old thing, which is Kermit and Piggy get together and get, amorous, and Fozzie goes,
Well, see...
Fozzie and Gonzo get together and go, they're doing it again.
What I would like them to do is a lot of the old stuff, because one of the problems that I think you and I both had with Muppets Tonight is it was a little too far afield from the Muppet Show. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've been trying to keep spoiler free with most things, and this included. So I don't know if it's going to be back to a stage variety show,
right,
or if it's going to be more of a television thing. I would like a little more of the old different acts rather than on Muppets Tonight, where it was actually supposed to be different television shows, and there was very little crossover between them.
Okay.
Although Muppets Tonight did give us at least one good thing, but one that stands out in my mind. Pepe.
Pepe. I love Pepe.
The King of Prawn.
Not a shrimp. That was absolutely roll on the floor, hilarious.
And really, he's in every iteration since then, the movies, etc.
He's been in all of them.
Yeah, because he's such a good character.
And where'd Rizzo the Rat come from?
Rizzo came...
He and Gonzo just mesh.
Yeah, but Rizzo first showed up in Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay.
Remember where they had the restaurant where the rats were working in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not one of my favorite Muppet movies.
Every time it's on, I change the channel.
Well, my main problem with it is it gave us Muppet Babies. And while I like Muppet Babies, the cartoon,
right,
that has led to this whole other thing, which especially in the 90s, which I referred to as Muppet Baby Syndrome.
Yes.
Which is Flintstone Kids, Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Basically, everybody that was an adult had to know each other as a kid.
Yeah.
Guess what? Real life doesn't do that.
No. I don't even talk about the people I
Yeah.
went to elementary school with. I mean, I know where some of them are. I know where my good friends in high school are.
Right. And I spend time with my good friends from elementary school.
I cannot believe you still know those people.
Well,
and hang out with them and like them.
But I also have a lot of friends I didn't meet until later. Like, I didn't meet you until college.
Right.
I didn't meet Kurt until college.
Kurt,
I didn't meet Danny and Ed until after we were married and moved
Yeah.
back to Jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, that whole group of people. So
Ed's birthday today.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Ed. Late, because this is coming out today. Editing takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're looking forward to it. Yeah, well, that's kind of the way this show goes. But I think we're looking forward to the show.
I want to see how it goes.
I don't think we're necessarily 100% behind it. Yeah.
I can't wait! Everything else stops until we wait for the Muppet Show. Yeah, that's not how it is.
But that's what happens when you get to the upper end of the 30s. You
have a kid.
Well,
and so much stuff to do.
Well, there's that, and it's also like the reason I don't watch certain movies or TV shows, because I don't have that kind of time to waste on something I'm probably not going to like.
Right.
So that's why, I'm looking forward to the new Star Wars movie. But I'm cautious.
Right, I know. After the prequels. Ugh.
Well, the prequels, I don't hate them. They could have been a whole lot better.
They could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, they could have been a whole lot worse. Not much, but...
Yeah.
But there were, ways they could have improved them, mainly by George Lucas being the idea man.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the best Star Wars movie, which also involves a Muppet, so... we are going to, not be that far off topic. That would be The Empire Strikes Back.
Of course.
George Lucas was the idea man. And he had a great director. He had great writers. And he was more hands-off.
Great actor.
Well, arguably he had great actors in Star Wars. Now, I love Star Wars, and it's a self-contained film.
Right.
But you didn't have the depth you had in Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
With what Irving Kershner and Lawrence Kasdan added to it. Mm-hmm. And Lucas was off like, hey, I would like to do this, and then they made it happen.
Right.
And to some extent, that also was the same in Return of the Jedi, because we had Richard Marquand doing the directing, and you had Lucas a little more hands-on than in Empire.
Right.
But he was still letting somebody else deal with it. Whereas in the prequels, he was the director, he was the writer, he was the producer. He was back to Star Wars again.
I know.
And he had grown so big at that time, I don't mean weight, I mean in influence, that no one was willing to say, no, George, that's not a good idea.
That sounds stupid.
George, I really don't think having an entire movie about taxation and trade routes is a good idea.
We're all sitting there in the theater going, huh?
Although I have to say that he did redeem himself a little bit in episode 2, because it made Jar Jar have a point, and that was to bring about the Empire.
He brought her out the Empire.
But anyway, back to Muppets. Now, we've talked about the Muppet movie, and we've talked about Muppets Take Manhattan. We also had the Great Muppet Caper, which I happen to really like. That was one of the things that my sister and I would watch a lot, because I think it was pretty much in constant rotation on HBO.
Okay.
So we would watch it a lot. We were also that age when it came out that we got the glasses when we went to Burger King and all this. And that was because you had a lot of cameos in the Muppet movie.
Right. A lot of cameos.
But you had, I think, a little bit more in Great Muppet Caper, in that you had people like Diana Rigg as one of the main characters. And you had a whole sequence with John Cleese where he was doing his best confused upper class twit when Piggy was going through the house and everything. And it was great.
I remember that. That was just, oh.
And besides, any movie that gives you the line, "I've got the paper towels," is worth it. Now, I think we've talked about this before, but of the other movies, I enjoy pretty much all of them. Muppet Treasure Island is probably the best technical film that they've done.
Right.
One of the staples of Christmas time in our house is Muppets Christmas Carol.
Right.
But
the incredible Michael Caine.
Michael Caine does a brilliant job, and the fact that they actually have a narration.
Yes.
Yes, Gonzo's in the story providing the narration,
right.
But you don't normally get that.
Light the lamp, not the rat! Light the lamp, not the rat!
And there's the, Stan and Laurel byplay between Gonzo and Rizzo.
Oh, jeez.
But the one movie that I have a major problem with is Muppets from Space.
I saw Muppets from Space.
I've seen it too, but here's my problem. It's just like Tigger.
He's the only one.
If Gonzo is not the only whatever
he is,
then he's nothing special.
Right.
He's just
like another frog,
right.
Or bear, or
pig. They had a mess of pigs.
Oh, there were a mess of pigs.
But, even Rolf. My favorite character is Rolf. He wasn't the only dog.
Right.
So you had Gonzo was unique because he was kind of like a turkey, but not really. So you bring in this whole alien race, and that's what Gonzo is from, and then he's he's an alien. Well, they have other aliens. You have all the Kuzbanes are aliens.
Yeah, and those, whatever they are, with the Manana song.
Yeah, I don't know the exact technical term for them. I'm sure that Matt Hunsworth, who is one of the guys that does Muppets in characters, yelling at me, "No, it's this, you idiot!" And I'm sure he'll run me into the ground in November when we do the Rocky Run together. But, yeah, it just means that Gonzo is another one of. Exactly. Whereas before he was Gonzo the Great.
Exactly. The Great what? It didn't matter.
Prince of Plumbers.
What's he doing tonight? Let's go see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it took Gonzo's specialness away.
That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah.
So
it was a good movie. It was cute. It had interesting parts that kind of had me going, huh?
Yeah.
And Kira and I were sitting there going, what exactly just happened in the last half hour? We kind of zoned out for a while. I don't know whether we were tired or whatever. But there were parts of that movie where I'd go and get up and go get a drink or...
Yeah, it wasn't engaging.
It was kind of like... And then I'd come back and I'd say, what I missed? And she'd say, they sat there and talked and then they all got up and went for a drink, But, yeah, so...
Now, we've had 2 Muppet movies recently.
Mm-hmm.
The Muppets.
Which were both good.
And Muppets Most Wanted. Now, The Muppets I like better than Muppets Most Wanted. Mm-hmm. Because it was more like the Muppet movie.
Right.
It was kind of a plot with all these goofy things happening.
Exactly.
Whereas Muppets Most Wanted, that was more like Great Muppet Caper.
See, now I like that better.
Really?
I thought it focused more on Muppet interaction as opposed to this kid is really a Muppet and he wants to be one of the Muppets. Right. So he goes here and does this to become one of the Muppets.
Well, either way, because I enjoyed them both.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed them both.
Right.
That's the kind of interactions and stuff I want to see happen. Like, I would like, because if the end of the Muppets...
Right.
You have them get this theater back and put a show on.
Yeah.
I want a continuation of that in the TV show.
Yeah.
I want to see, where that goes from there because you had all the classic characters, then you had some of the newer ones.
Right.
And you're just getting it all together.
Sweetums running around.
Anytime Sweetums is running around is a good day. All right. Well, I think we're getting pretty close to the end here.
Okay.
And there's a PTA meeting coming up.
Yes.
This is called guerrilla podcasting, folks. We're just squeezing it in wherever. I know I didn't mean that to sound dirty. So, so we will wrap it up here and tune in next time for something a little more on the geeky side, and I will get to your listener feedback next time. I want to thank Luke Giaconetti, Chris Franklin, and Tom Panarese for writing in on the cartoon themes episode. I'll be reading your emails next time, plus whatever I get for this one, or people finding the back catalog. So, we'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Hammer Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send an email to gene@thehammerstrikes.com. If you like what you've heard, please visit the Patreon page, which is located at patreon.com/thehammerstrikes, and consider becoming a sponsor of the show. Please be sure to check out the Hammer Strikes on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. The Hammer Podcast is a proud part of the Two True Freaks Internet Radio Network.
Well, shall we call it a night?
Might as well. Certainly wouldn't call it a show.